Hey guys, you've heard it from me so many times about how awesome the Protegé course is, so I thought it was probably best for you to hear from some of our students.
I went into the Protegé course with a pretty unhealthy amount of insecurity about the music I was writing at the time, struggling to structure tracks, to finish them on a regular basis.
We're going to have a bunch of people basically working in the industry get briefs every week, and then we publish them. I was like, what? That sounds like insane. I've never heard of any other people doing that sort of thing, like actually like mentoring people on like the level of like, no, we're doing it for an entire year. Yeah, that's why I think the Protegé thing is just amazing, because it's targeted. It's okay, we want this type of music for this type of application. Let's do it. And then, okay, here's where you fell short, here's where you succeeded, and it's just amazing.
I feel like I've learned so much and improved so much in my production skills. I've gotten better at percussion and better at my capacity to write tracks quicker has improved, and I've gotten better at properly responding to feedback, and I feel like now there is more of a future for me in the library world than there was before I started.
It's definitely a course that I would recommend doing. There are so many courses out there, but this one really hammers home on how to write to brief, how to write quickly, and how to write expertly as well. Honestly, the videos are very user-friendly, they're very engaging, and you get to have breakdowns of some of Richard's most successful tracks or Elephant Music's most successful tracks, which has been really useful as well. So I thoroughly recommend to dive right in.
Protegé was one of the best investments that I ever made in my career. It did level up my game, and not just in skill, but also in my confidence. It just made me a more professional composer and a better composer.
But the course did exactly what it intended to do, in that it kind of demystified the whole composition process, taught me a bunch of good habits. And I suppose most importantly, and what I'm the most grateful for, is the fact that it actually helped me to really enjoy writing music again.
There you have it, guys. We are opening our doors for applications for the 21-22 masterclass year with Protegé.school. Go to protege.tiny.us/apply. That's protege.tiny.us/apply to start your application.
One man with one microphone and one awesome podcast. Welcome to the Trailer Music Composers Podcast.
Hey guys, in this episode of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast, I had the pleasure of speaking with one of our Protegé students. So his name is Sean Latino, and he has been with Protegé from the beginning. And as we're nearing the end of the first year of Protegé, I thought it would be a great idea to bring Sean on to talk about, obviously, his story and, you know, his experience of the Protegé course. And also because he landed his first placement as a direct result of Protegé. He did a course in electronic sound design 1 week. We set the brief. We released his track, and it landed on a Netflix trailer, which is huge. I mean, it's proof in the pudding, which, you know, both Vic and I and Guy, Protegé, are tremendously proud of as well. And it's just the beginning. But we wanted to talk because I think actually his story will resonate with a lot of you. This kind of like constant perseverance and constant pushing of his career. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. I am very, very lucky to have one of our Protegé students and a masterful producer and composer with us. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Introduce yourself to the listeners of the podcast. Who are you? Where are you from? You know, what's your story? How did you get here? That's a lot of questions. I appreciate that, but you know, let's start with, yeah.
Okay, we'll start with my name, which is Sean Latino. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm a producer, composer, and audio engineer. Now, my story. So basically, you just want me to go from like how I started to here to now?
Yeah. The thing is, like, my favorite part of these interviews is almost always how people fell into music. Or how they jumped into it. You know, it was kind of like I was working in a job I hated, I got fired, so I had to do music. Or, you know, I was sort of working 9 to 5, and on the sideline I was doing, you know, like me, I was doing it on the side as my side hustle, air quotes. Well,
for me, I guess, look, it all started, I'm going to have to go back. So if I just go off track or whatever, you just nudge me along, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I'll do. Yeah, talk.
So I guess first place to start is I don't have any like musicians in my family. I don't play any instruments. So that's the first thing. I've always done everything just by ear. I've always listened to music from a young age. I'd sit in my room and just listen to music all the time. My parents were big into movies. So we owned a video library, and my dad would always just watch just crazy movies, actions and horrors, and just stuff that a child shouldn't be watching. So they weren't really musically inclined, but I just got into music, just loved listening to it. When I was about 11, a mate of mine at school gave me a cassette tape. So that's kind of telling you my age. Gave me a cassette, which was Public Enemy. And that got me into hip hop. So after a few years of listening to all the awesome stuff back then, which was the NWA, you know, the Ice Cube, Ice-T, Ultra Mag, De La Soul, all that good stuff. By the time I was about 16, I saved up some money and I bought a turntable. And then I bought some records and bought a mixer and bought another turntable and started mixing records and started scratching. And that's kind of how I started my DJ career, I guess, whatever you call it. That's how I sort of started DJing.
Was this in the 90s?
Yeah. It was a long time ago. This was in the like mid 90s, I'd say, because I'm from 99. So this would have been like mid 90s. I was DJing, and I linked up with some local rappers. One of them was a producer, so I was their DJ. We'd do shows, and we actually supported some pretty big international artists, which was cool. But then I was just interested in making music. So I went and bought an MPC. I went and bought a 4-track, because back then computer audio was non-existent. You know, we didn't have like what we do now. So I had a 4-track, had an MPC. I'd sit there and chop up my drums and sample records and make beats. And I did that for a while. And that's kind of how I started my label, which is Magician Records. So I started the label and just got as many people as I could that rapped and just started recording them and started making as much music as I could. Then were
you producing all of these albums?
Yeah. So I was producing the albums of, obviously doing all the recording, mixing, everything. And then, like back then, we didn't have like Spotify, we didn't have iTunes, we didn't have any of that stuff. So I was doing like consignment drops at all the different record stores, and by the time I got my music a little bit better, and I needed to get it sort of Australia wide, I had to get distribution. So then I got a distribution deal, and and then obviously I had a distributor which I could send all my CDs to after I got them all, pressed up and everything. Mm-hmm. And they took care of all the distribution side of things. I just had to hope that people bought the album. So basically, after I finished high school, I just did a bit of work for a year, just saving up some money and stuff. And then I went to college and did audio engineering. So that went for about a year. of full-time audio engineering.
You still doing the
was
label
cool.
were you still doing the label at the side?
Yeah, still doing all, like, this whole time I'm still doing the label now. So I've always been doing the label. I've always been just making music on the side and, you know, pushing out as many albums as I can. After doing college, I went to work in a studio actually for a year, unpaid. So I was working in a recording studio, unpaid for a year, and that was just for experience, which was cool. Then after that, I'd done a lot of work with Australian hip hop artists, and I wanted to work with American hip hop artists. So, well, not only that, I kind of wanted to work with all my favorite American hip hop artists, which was like the Cool Keith, the Tim Dog, the Chino XL, the Twisted Insane, all people just I listen to all the time. I was like, I want to work with these guys. So I hit them up. I got in touch with each of the ones, not all of my favorite ones, but a lot of like the main ones I was listening to at the time. I got in touch with them and collaborated with them, just sent them my beats. They recorded and like with their vocals, sent it back. I mixed it and did everything and released them. Dude,
can I jump in? Right. So often in these stories, people sort of say something like, "Oh, I hit up these people." Right? Like let's talk about how that actually works out, because it sounds so easy. Oh yeah, so I just hit up Danny Elfman, you know. It doesn't work like that. Can we just go into the details? How did you make those connections? Because that is often the hardest work to be done. Once you've got the connection, the resulting work from that is often flow. But how did you make those connections? Especially back then, was it snail mail? Did you write a letter?
No, it was like MySpace.
Oh, nice.
It was MySpace, and then from there, like they realized I was serious about it, and then I got their phone numbers, you know, and I'd call them and talk to them about it. So from Cool Keith, which was like that guy's a god in the hip hop world, he's massive. From talking to Cool Keith, I got in touch with Tim Dog, who unfortunately passed away, but I got to work with Tim Dog as well. And the same with all of them. I pretty much just, you know, found a way to either email them or get in touch with them, whether it be MySpace or whatever social network there was at that time. But I don't know how I did it really, but I managed to do it. Yeah. And I got it done, which was cool. It was awesome. So I'm glad I did that, because I've worked with some of my favorite, you know, my favorite hip hop artists, which yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's
dude. That's awesome. Well, I mean, how did you handle it when? I mean, I guess they didn't respond straight away, right? You didn't send an email, and it was like, oh, hey, great, awesome, let's work together.
No, with some of them there was some money involved, so that, you know, that was that kind of got their attention. Okay. You know, I'd have to pay them. I'd be like, look, I'll pay you this much. I just want you to do a verse on one of my tracks, and they'll be like, okay, cool.
So you were hiring them as session rappers, essentially?
Well, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Not all of them, but some of them, yeah. Like some of them aren't going to do stuff for free. Someone like Cool Keith isn't just going to be like, yeah, I'll rap on your track for you for nothing. Don't worry about it. No, that's not going to happen. So, yeah. So some of them, you know, took a little bit of persuasion, and others were like, yeah, cool. Let's do some stuff and see what happens. So from there, I guess I went to, okay, from there, basically, I was realizing that I wasn't making much money from music. So I needed to do something. So I started a DJ business, a mobile DJ business. So I would do DJs for weddings, for corporate events, kids' parties, birthday parties, stuff like that. I'm sure you guys have got mobile DJs over there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
So I started up one of them, and then I trained a bunch of DJs. So I trained like about 15 guys, and then I was, you know, running the business and sending all my DJs out every week to different events. and that was a good little business. I had that going for about 5 years. And I was still always doing my music. So while I'm saying this, like all this story, I'm still doing my music in the background. Yeah.
Magician Records is still running.
Yeah, still running to this day, still going. Yep. So after like 5 years of doing the mobile DJ business, I kind of had enough of that. So I sold it. I had an opportunity to sell it, so I sold it. And then I went straight into making another business, which was an online business. Selling vape products. You guys have got all the vaping stuff over there. And at that time, vaping was just starting up in Australia. So I saw an opportunity and I took it and I did really well, which was awesome. So that kept going for a few years. And then I got married and I had a mortgage and I had a baby. Well, I didn't have the baby, but I had a baby. And I was like, okay, I need more money. So I got a full-time job and I started working as well. So I was working, doing my side business, doing some music and trying to support a family, paying a mortgage, all that kind of stuff. From there,
did you get like a regular day-to-day job? Air quotes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like an AV technician. So I'd manage a group of guys who would go out and do installations for audio visual, like home theaters, networking, stuff like that. So I managed a group of guys doing that stuff. That was going for a few years. And then that's pretty much when COVID came and just went, see you later. And at that point I was like, okay, so I don't have any work now. My online business is kind of going down a little bit. What else do you know, really? I know how to run businesses, but now's not the best time to start a new business, unless, of course, you're Rich and Vic, but I'm not you. Yeah. So I wasn't going to start another business at that time. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I just went back on my music because it's something I've always done. And I was like, how can I monetize my music? How can I knew I wasn't going to make any money doing hip hop music. Yeah. It just wasn't yet. Yeah. Not the type of hip hop music I was making back then. Yeah. And especially in Australia, it's not the US down here. So, hip hop's like big down here, but it's not like America. So I knew I wasn't really going to make it.
Can you describe to the listeners what type of music you were writing then? Because I've heard it. So when you say not that type of hip hop, I know what you're talking about. Describe where we are, with what you were doing back then.
Back then,
yeah,
I was just making like the hip hop I was making back then was just standard 90s style boom bap kind of hip hop stuff. Whereas now, my music's always been a little bit left of center. It's always been a bit dark. It's always been a little bit in your face. Yeah. But it was hip hop. Yeah. I did Dre and I went into some like crazy noise music with my buddy Laconic. We've got a group called Out on Speak, which basically every album we do is a new concept. So our first album was pretty much straight up boom bap. And then the next album, we kind of just went into like, we're just doing whatever we want to do. And that was The Tip. The album was called The Tip, and it's just an album of filth and disgust. It's a mess. It's horrible. You should check it out. You probably hate it. It's really intense. So yeah, I've always done a little bit of my style for hip hop is, I've done the West Coast kind of style, which I love. So that's kind of, I do a little bit of everything within hip hop. Now I guess my hip hop's completely different to what it was back then though. So where was I?
Okay, let's get you back on track. So before I rudely interrupted, so you were talking about COVID hit.
Yeah, COVID hit. Okay. And I was like, how can I monetize this? How can I do something with my music? And I researched, and I was like trying to figure out ways to make money off music. And it was production music, sync music. And I kept researching and kept learning new things and found Taxi. Now, Taxi is a company where basically you sign up with them and they'll send you briefs every day of, trailer music, hip hop music, drones, everything, all sorts of country music, like everything. So I always watched it. And I was looking, I always looked at the briefs, and the trailer music always sparked my, it got my attention, but I didn't really know much about it. So I just focused on the hip hop stuff. And I got some forwards, and I got a bunch of music into some libraries. Don't know what's happened with those tracks, who knows? But I got like 30 tracks into a library. And then I still had the trailer music kind of thing in the back of my head. And I had the tools, like I had Damage. At that stage, I'd bought Density because I'd watched your video on Density, and I was like, that looks sick. I got to get that. I got that, and I had a few tools. So I kind of like, I was playing around with stuff, but I didn't really know what to do. So obviously I'd watch and I'd learn and just try and, play around until something came up. But the way I really got into it was I was on Facebook one night, and I saw a post from a guy called Lex Shallard. He's a composer from the UK as well. Awesome dude. We've actually become really good friends. So I saw a post that he'd done for a placement he got, and it was like some cool hybrid, just intense, just kind of stuff that I like. And I was like, I got to hit this dude up. So I just hit him up randomly. He never know me. He didn't know who I was. And I hit him up, and I was like, man, like I really like that music. I'd love to try and get into this sort of music. Can you just listen to my stuff and tell me what you think? I didn't think Lex would ever get back to me, but he did. Like he got back to me, and he was like, yeah, look, I had to listen to some of your stuff, and it's cool. Like I'm working with this other guy in LA. I'll get him to listen, and then I'll get back to you. And I was like, awesome. So Lex got back to me after Chris, which is the guy he was working with, listened to my stuff, and he's like, yeah, look, we both really like what you're doing. We love your hip hop stuff. Just, start making some stuff, and we'll listen, and we'll go from there. So I did. And I listened to so much trailer music, and I studied it, and I tried to figure out how these guys were making all this insane trailer music, and I just made tracks. I made a bunch of tracks, and I sent them like a playlist of all these tracks, and just waited for them to give me feedback. And then finally I get an email, and actually I remember I spoke to Lex, or anyway, they were like, look, the tracks are good, but they need work. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I know. Like, 'cause I'd never made this kind of music before. I was just making what I thought, trailer music was. Which, some of those tracks are cool, but they need work. And then randomly one day I get an email from Mammoth talking about a course, which if you buy Density, you can get into this course. And I was like, I've already bought Density, but I really want to get into this course. So the course was the Protegé course. This was the first course which you guys ever did. It was like the initial one. So I emailed Mammoth Audio, and I'm like, look, guys, I've already bought Density, but I really want to get in this course. Please, like, whatever you can do. And I didn't hear anything back, and I was like, oh no. And then a few days later, I get an email going, congratulations, like you're in this course. And I was like, awesome. So whoever replied to my email from Mammoth, thank you.
It's probably Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, because then that got me into the course, which the first course was a piano track, and I'd never made a piano track in my life, ever. never even thought about it. So that was interesting. And I had no clue what to do until I watched your course and studied and learned. And, you know, I didn't make an amazing track for my first ever piano track, but, you know, I did it. And the course, the course was, if I hadn't watched that course, I wouldn't have known what to do. If you had just said, make me a piano track, I'd be like, what? I don't know how to do that. But the course was awesome. It was great. It was informative and it showed me exactly what to do. And then as soon as that course was done, I submitted the track. Then I guess that's when the Protege journey started.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty much gone from then to here. So to now, yeah. Actually, I got to say, with the Protege course, I did talk to my wife about that. And I was like, look, I really want to do this course. And she was like, go for it. So it definitely pays to have an amazing, supportive wife. That's just like, yeah, go do this. Like, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Just go and like make some music, dude. Why not? So yeah, I'm super thankful for that. And then that's how I got into the course.
Yeah, I completely agree. Having a supportive partner it's literally the world of difference.
Yeah, it's next level, definitely.
Yeah. So, mate, there's so many touch points on there I want to go into. Let's go into the piano stuff. We're going to talk about Protege a little bit because obviously we're reaching the end of the Protege year, and I've seen. So before you signed up for the course, Sean sent me some of his tracks, and he sent me an email kind of saying that I really want to do this. I'm not sure if I've got the skills for it, and he sent me the tracks, and you know, after my bowels were ruptured from the tremendous noise, I then grabbed the link and sent it to Guy Jones, who kind of runs Protege for Vic and I said, look, Guy, this guy, like, he has to do the course. This stuff is immense. Because the thing is, like, the nice thing is, because I've sort of had so many students, you could start to hear, I don't want to say the diamond in the rough, but, you know, you could start to hear when someone has skills, especially in the world of noise or sound. You can just hear, well, they know how to make sounds and carve them into a space. And the tracks weren't like structured in the way that we traditionally structure them, but they had so much potential. And it's been such a pleasure for me and Vic and Guy seeing your progress from week 1 up until now. And we had the pleasure, Sean, of informing you that you got your first placement. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your first placement through Protege and the Blue Pearl?
My first placement was an amazing show that I actually binged about a week before you guys told me, which was Love, Death, and Robots Season 2, which is an amazing show. And the trailer is bonkers. So just, yeah, when you guys said that in that, because you guys, I'll tell the listeners, basically you guys mentioned, I had no idea about this placement, and we were in a live Zoom call, and Guy basically said, we've got some amazing news. We'd like to congratulate Sean on a trailer placement. And I was like, what? No way. And I just lost it. I didn't know. Oh man, I didn't know what. There was so many emotions going on. It was crazy. It was amazing. I'm just so grateful. So happy. So just relieved in a way, because I was always curious as to whether it would happen. You know, like I was like, is the music I'm making, like, is it gonna get placed? So that was kind of, you know, it was reassuring. It felt good. It was an amazing feeling. Yeah, I'm so grateful and thankful. And it's like, it's all, you know, thanks to you. You know what I mean? Like, man, I've learned so much. I've learned so much from the course. Like you said, my music from the start to now is like night and day. I was talking to my wife about it actually, and the way I described it to her was like, I think it's evolved I think my music, it used to be like 2D. Yeah. So just imagine like 2D, it's kind of flat. I mean, it's still kind of cool, but it's a bit flat. And I think now, like, I'm not saying that my music's next level amazing, but I think it's more 3D. You know what I mean? It's evolved. It's got more depth. It's even more in your face. It's got more layers. It's structured properly, which is the big one. Like, it has structure. It has, relevance. It just feels good. It's expansive. It's just fuller, and it's just so much better, more cinematic. And it's amazing how much it's grown. I've grown as a composer over the last year. It's insane. Yeah.
Well, dude, like, I cannot communicate how much joy Vic and I are getting from the fact that, we've managed to get you a placement. But as much as I would like to put this on Vic and I and our amazing course, he says with modesty, this is so much about you and the work you put in, because no matter what course you do, it's not going to get you to the place unless you put the work in, and you have always put the work in. And I particularly like your journey because, you emailed me right before the course started saying, I'm not sure if I've got the chops for this. And it was like, no, you have. Let's do this. And then in week 1, you emailed me after week 1 saying, like, I was, because I think your first track was off brief, which isn't bad. It's just off brief. Yeah. So it was off brief. And I think you were like, oh no, I've messed up. I'm not made for it. And I was like, continue, just keep doing it, keep pushing. And, since then you've managed, you've, from the kind of really dark noise stuff of Anon Speak and your own hip hop stuff, you've now been sort of working with solo violin players. You've been doing sort of piano stuff and really ad focus. Like, the diversity of your portfolio is huge. So now, just going back to that trailer, the wonderful thing about that trailer that you landed for the Netflix show, the course that produced that track was the electronic sound design.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I love electronic sound design, and we focus on the course saying, look, guys, when we're doing electronic sound design, we're going to focus on TV spots, or at least shorter trailers. And they have to be punchy, they have to have character, they have to be kind of bonkers and grab your attention. That's exactly what your track did. And then seeing the track and seeing how it was used on the trailer, it was really like, that's exactly the progression of the track that we talked about. Now, the interesting thing is, like, when you told about it, you emailed me being like, dude, I'm not sure I can hear my track on this.
Yeah.
So tell the listeners about this experience, because this is quite a common experience. It's not that your track isn't there. It's that it was used. So
yeah. I mean, look, I'm grateful it is there. But when I first listened to it, I was like, it wasn't structured the same way as when I made it. So the editors obviously just chopped up bits and pieces of my track and used it sort of how he saw fit, which is cool. And like you said, I guess that gets done all the time. And it's not really about that. It's just about, celebrating, the achievement. The track got used. But I think that's something that is going to happen all the time. And I just need to adjust to that. I think, like you said, it's happened to you a million times. It happens to everyone. So it is what it is. So if you get a placement and you can't hear your track in there, don't worry, it's in there. It's just being chopped up. It's all good.
It's a really strange experience, isn't it? Because as a musician, we kind of carry a tremendously large ego, brackets insecurity. Yeah. And we produce this air quotes art that we give to the world that's our kind of untouchable, don't touch this. This is the thing I've slaved over. Yeah. So going to an industry that will actively chop your music to pieces, it's the strangest thing, because you're like, well, wasn't my track not good enough? Why would, and then there's the whole, like, why would you dare touch my music? There's this whole, like, ego battle of insecurity and arrogance battling on.
I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, carry on.
I think you just, within this field, you can't be emotionally attached to your music. I think you need to just make the best music you can make, and forget about it and just move on to the next one. Just keep making really good music and move on. Don't get emotionally attached to it at all. Just do it and get on with it. Move on to the next one. Done.
Yeah, listeners, that is exceptional advice. And it's often not talked about, the emotional attachment to your music. But in production music, library music, even when you're delivering a service, you have to just see it as a service. If you get emotionally attached to your track, it will become much more stressful. The whole process will be stressful. The feedback will be stressful. Even landing a placement will be stressful, because you'll just go, well, they touched my art, and if you find that too hard to let go of, perhaps, look at another way you could approach this. But it's a learning curve in itself. So you've talked about all these sort of learning points in your career, and how all the way through you've kept your music going whilst you've changed jobs, bought and sold business, not bought, started and sold businesses. And now you're in this world of production music, which I just want to highlight to the listeners. Like, Sean has only actively been in this production world since starting Protegé, really, maybe like a month or two before.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So first placement in that length of time is phenomenal. It's great. And it's kind of exposed you to a whole new world. Producing your own stuff to your own brief is completely different. So what creative barriers do you see as a trailer composer, or as a production music composer? What creative barriers do you see other people will have to overcome, or that you have had to overcome?
Wow.
I can give you some examples if you want, Sean.
No. I mean, I guess creative barriers would be like overthinking, and being super critical. I think trying to make something new and different and original, trying to be like creative. I guess that's the barrier that I guess we all face, is just trying to do something cool and different. And I mean, the way I kind of deal with that is I just get in front of the computer. I press buttons. That's all I do. I just press buttons, press keys, and until something happens. And if something's not happening, just walk away. Go like play with your kid, or play with your dogs, or go for a run, whatever you do. But if it's not happening, it's not happening. You got to give it some time. Then when you come back, it'll happen. Because it's happened to me so many times. I'll be working on a track for a brief, and I'll be like, oh, it's not happening for me. And then I'll just leave it, and I'll come back, and then I'll play around, and something will happen. And then you just build from that. And that's kind of, I guess that's kind of how I get around those creative blocks. But I mean, it's going to happen regardless. Yeah. I think taking a break and listening to music, that's another thing I do a lot. If I'm really struggling, I'll listen to stuff. It doesn't have to be trailer music. I'll listen to anything, just to kind of refresh my mind, get some inspiration, and then that might spark some kind of creativity, and just from that you'll be like, yeah, cool. Like maybe I can play around with this and make that, and and then just turns into something. It's just kind of how it happens. It's weird, but yeah. Does that make sense?
Dude, it makes perfect sense. Because so much of what we do is play, and when you forget about the play, again, you start overthinking things, and you start getting overly critical, and then it becomes an unenjoyable process. And then when you're not enjoying the process, you don't produce the work that lights you up. I want to touch on something you mentioned right at the start of your answer, when you said about like being original, or not authentic, but being original and finding stuff that is different. And the thing that I have noticed is when the students of Protegé follow their own instincts and do the stuff that they love, that's how they're different. even if they're on the same brief, you know, you'll go, oh, that's Sean's track. Oh, that's Anna's track. You know, you'll hear it in the submissions because you are adding yourself to the music. And it's a really annoyingly intangible thing to talk about. But even just the way that you would use the same plugin, you know, I'm sure you've listened to all these shows. You know that we all use the same libraries. We all use the same effects.
Yeah.
I mean, even you guys who've watched me do exactly like step by step, this is how I do it. You'll do something, and even if you do exactly the same as me, it will sound different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing to remember, that if you just do the stuff that lights you up, and like you said, find a sound that excites you, or get into that place, then you will just let yourself run with it.
Totally.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to people who want to get into, you know, not just trailer music, but the wider world of production music?
Think outside the box. Experiment. Learn, study, keep learning, keep studying, keep growing. I'm still learning. I'm always going to learn. I'm always going to be studying. I'm always going to be listening and trying to get better. Always. I've always been like that. Like I'm always just trying to get better at something. And I think you have to stay like that. You have to stay on top of that. You have to keep learning all the time. Get into it. Like I just turned 40. Yeah. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
It's the new 21.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. So like, look, I wish I had got into it like a little bit. Like, and I've said that a lot. I said it to my wife. I said it to Lex as well. I'm like, I wish I had just got into this like 10 years ago, because maybe I'd be at a different spot. But I mean, things didn't pan out that way and didn't work out that way. But if you're young and you're interested in it, then definitely get into it now. Yeah, I guess other things you need to do is watch lots of trailers if you want to get into the trailer world. I guess the main thing is study, learn, grow, build, and keep doing that over and over. And do the Protegé course. It'll change your life, pretty much. End of podcast. That's it. It's done.
Wow.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's changed my life. I mean, I've evolved, I've grown so much and learned so much. Not only with your course, doing all the composing and stuff. It's the back end stuff that Vic teaches you as well. That's like invaluable info that you can't get anywhere. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to take in, and I think it's definitely a good investment if you want to go down this path, this career path.
Can we just touch a little bit on Vic's courses, because there's so much focus on Protegé, like learning the skills to write in however 30 different styles or 25 different styles. There's so much focus on the composition and production side of it, but actually Vic teaches each week a course as well. Can you touch on those a little bit?
Okay, so what Vic basically takes you through is the back end stuff, the stuff that you don't really know, the stuff that you can't really just find information about online. There's no tutorials about that kind of stuff. I mean, there is now because Vic's doing it, but you can't just find it freely. You know what I mean? So he'll touch on everything from what a producer and a publisher does to how to email libraries, what to say, what not to say. Man, he's done so many courses. Active listening, how to listen to music properly and examine it, how to figure out what's the right kind of music. And, obviously if I'm listening to trailer music, I'm trying to make trailer music. It's listening to a trailer track and examining it, listening to the structure, listening to all the different sounds coming in at different times, listen to the build, listen to the sounds and the production. All that kind of stuff. So there's a wealth of knowledge, definitely in the composition side of things, but then in the, I guess it would be the business side of things, would you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowledge of the music industries.
Yeah, and there's tons. I mean, I feel bad because I can't remember all the courses. There's so many courses, and it basically teach you everything, even like information on money, like, and just lifestyle. How to look after yourself, and just a bit of everything. There's so much in there that is just a wealth of knowledge. Like Vic knows his shit. Your guy, all you guys know. Like, sorry, I don't mean to swear. Sorry.
We'll just put the sound of a chicken or something over the top.
So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I can't say enough about it. And look, I think like you deserve a big thank you, like all of you guys do. And I think I could speak on behalf of all the students and be like, thank you so much just for being just an amazing mentor and teacher, role model. Just having cool courses where they're just fun to watch. They're not boring, you just like have a laugh. So yeah, man, like, thank you. Like, you've done so much. So I can't thank you enough.
Dude, it's an absolute pleasure. And I'm glad my maniacal ramblings whilst I'm trying to produce a track are entertaining for you.
It's awesome. And the thing is, like, you'll just be like, just saying funny stuff and just making like a fire, just a beast track. I'm like, how is he doing this? Like, he's smashing this track out in like no time. It blows my mind. It's next. People just smash out some of these tracks. I'm like, oh man, how does he do that? It's awesome. Hats off to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I have to say, that the whole like writing and talking whilst you're writing, that took me a long time to like get to grips with.
Oh man, I don't know how you do it.
Oh wow, I almost find it hard not talking now when I'm writing. I was like, oh yeah, this cheeky G, hello, But yeah, no, dude, I'm so pleased you've got so much out of the course, and it's so nice to have another amazingly talented producer within the world of trailer music and the wider world of production music. Because I've talked about this a lot. People ask us, aren't you just training your competition and stuff? It's not like that at all. Like, there's so much work around. And seeing you succeed, seeing other people succeed is the reason Vic and I are doing this. And the reason I do this podcast, the reason I do the Trailer Music School is because I want to help. And Vic wants to help. We want to help you guys because, there's so much work to be had that it's like, guys, let's just share the love. This is awesome. And it's so nice seeing your journey from the start of the year to now. So I've got a couple of nerd questions to finish up on. And yeah,
go for it. Love nerd questions. Talk
you know, the listeners, as much as we like talking about the woo-woo things, well, I do anyway, we all want to hear about what gear everyone is using. I'm not talking about outboard gear. I'm not that type of nerd. I'm not even sure I know how to plug in the outboard gear in, to be honest with you. But we all like to hear what stuff we are using. If anything, it's just a reassurance that we are using the right gear, and also any good recommendations, like for instance, the Valhalla reverbs. Not Valhalla. Is it Valhalla? I think it's Valhalla, isn't it? Yeah. So Valhalla comes in quite a lot, and the Pro Q3. There's some gear that people just say, sound toys, that just happen to be used by everybody. So let's go through the quick fire round, Sean.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, what's your workstation of choice? Digital, that is. Cubase. Yeah. Okay, on Cubase, go to Piano Library.
Right now, it's not open.
No, I mean, like, what is your go-to? As in, like, what would you go to use straight away?
I thought you were like, go to Piano Library on Cubase right now. I'm like, dude, I've got like my studio computer's not on. Like, I can't go to it right now. Come on.
Yeah, play me some music.
Okay. Sorry, man. Okay. Piano Library, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, you've pushed Alicia's keys so much that I use that so much. There's also another one I really like, which is Wave Alchemy, I think it's called like Sapphire or Delphine or something. It's cool like piano sounds. So I really like that. And maybe like layering the two is cool, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've not heard of that one. And this is the thing. This is the thing I love. When people bring up a library, I'm like, oh, I don't even know about that company. Well, okay, I know what it was, but I don't. Sometimes there's a company I don't even know about. So okay, so what about string library?
Look, I like really dirty, gritty. Like I'm not one to. I try and stay in my lane. Yeah, like I'm not a massive orchestral dude. I like electronic sound design, as you know. I love that stuff. So when it comes to strings, I like to just use like really dirty, gritty sounds. And one I've found which I really like is the Spitfire alternative solo strings. I think it is. That's got some gritty, really nice gritty sounds that I love to use. So yeah, that one is cool.
Alternative solo strings.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I've got one of their libraries, which is the London.
Yeah, I've got that one too. That one's cool.
Yeah.
The London Orchestra, whatever that one is. That one's cool too. But this alternative solo strings is like just gritty and dirty. And then like you just smash it with compression and saturation, just distortion, and those strings sound nasty. It's beautiful.
Love to check that out. That's how you get those cool string sounds. Obviously, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you're not a big orchestral guy, but we all need to have some brass in our life. So brass library.
Look, the only one I've got is Talos. Is it
okay.
Audio Material Talos? That's the only one I've got. I mean, actually, I've got Abbey Road 1, the Spitfire Abbey Road 1. So I've got that, and I use the brass on that as well. But that Talos is cool. It's got some cool, like, deep, dirty bass. I mean, brass sounds like they're cool. So yeah, I mean, that's what I've got to work with. So I'll work with that one.
Yeah,
I'll go.
It's limitation is often the best way, and as you say, stay in your lane. If you don't want sort of beautiful choral brass, don't use it.
Don't touch it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Go to percussion. I know percussion is a difficult one because it's a pretty huge spectrum. Are we talking big drums? I'm talking like generally. If you needed trailer percussion, what were you going to use?
Oh man, I guess like the go-to all-rounder is like the Damage, which everyone uses. Yeah, I'd say like just a general all-rounder has got to be Damage. There are other really good drum libraries out there, but I think that would be your go-to. Cerberus is cool. There's a few really good ones, but I guess like the go-to would be Damage, and then with drums it's tough because they all sound so muddy, and like I do so much processing on my drums, and I've had a few people hitting me up throughout the course being like, what are you doing to your drums? Like, what are you doing? Tell me. I'm like, like I'm just using the same libraries you're using, but I'm just processing them the way I've been I've been making hip hop for 20 plus years. I've always been focused on drums. So I just process them how I process them. That's just what I do. But yeah, I guess, Damage would have to be. Sorry, I went on a rant.
Dude, I'm going to have to push into that rant because your drums always do sound fantastic, no matter what brief you're doing, whether it's a trailer brief, whether it's sort of advertising, whether it's TV score type stuff. The drums you use always sound like you can hear that you know how to work a drum kit. You know how to carve that kick in, and not even just the kick, even the hats and the snare, which sometimes it's just so tempting just to put them in there and just be like, that's where they sit. Because I know I do that. I'm like, I'm not going to spend any time on that. So I'm going to put it in there. I mean, I would personally be very keen to see your process because you are so good at it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would be happy to show you like how I go about it, but yeah, it's a lot of processing. Like I don't have a go-to like kick drum or a go-to snare drum that I just use every time, or hi-hat, or I just kind of use what I feel sounds right at the time. And then I just go to work on it and do whatever I have to do process-wise to try and make it sound how I want it to sound for that particular track. Yeah, it's just, I mean, sorry?
I was just going to say, yes, don't worry, you don't actually need to give me your plug-in chain, but I am curious though, because obviously you use trailer drums, but is it drag and drop samples, or is it sample packs, or is it a kit? Like, is it battery, or?
Like I use the same, I use like Damage and that, but are you talking about like when I'm doing hip hop drums or when I'm doing trailer drums?
Well, I'm pretty sure if we're going trailer, you'll be using Damage. If we're going hip hop, or even it's not, the thing is, even when you're not doing hip hop, you will throw in drums that are basically cheeky hip hop drums. So
yeah.
So what kits are you using there?
I've literally got thousands of drum samples that I've been collecting over the years, and I will just go through and pick a kick that sounds cool. I mean, I've got battery, and I'll load up sounds in battery. Look, even some of the stock Native Instrument sounds in battery are cool. Not all of them though, but some of them are cool. They just need some tweaking. I mean, look, every drum out there, like I think they all need processing. Mm-hmm. No matter where you get it from, you can get the best sample pack in the world, and you put that kick in there and try and mix it with your track, and it's not working. You need to process. You need to do something to it, tweak it a bit to make it sound right. I don't think there's ever a drum that I've used and I've just slapped it in and it's been like, that's perfect, let's move on. No, it's like you better make it sound cool. Like you gotta work on that sound and mold it and shape it and just put some time into that to make it massive. And I just love drums. I love just massive drums, and I don't know, it could be a bad thing. I don't know, because sometimes it might not work, but I just seem to always go over the top when I do stuff, and drums is one of those things that I just can't get enough of, just massive drums just smashing you in the face. I love it.
Massive drums can make a track. Like, guaranteed, if your drums sound well produced, the rest of the track almost just falls into place. If you've got weak sounding drums, it just completely deflates the cue. So drum production is absolutely huge. And drum production terrifies me. It terrifies me. Yeah, it terrifies me. Because
I'll make a course for you.
I'll hold you to that, sir. But yeah, it terrifies me because it's one of those things that I've always been told, oh, your drums don't sound big enough. So like I've got this like long list of people criticizing my tracks because of drums. So if I'm ever doing any drum stuff, I just pull up my library of negative thoughts and just like, oh no, you don't know.
Your drums sound good. Like all of your drums in all your tracks sound good. I don't think, I mean, obviously they, like when we hear them behind the scenes, like within the course, that hasn't been mixed and mastered, but I can still hear they work, they sound good. So I think after they get a good mix and master, they're fine. Like, I don't know. I think your drums are good, man.
Well, that's very healing for me to hear, so thank you. Right, a little sidetrack on drums then. So what about synths? Now, we'll just go soft synths because, that's a whole nother world, really, outboard gear.
Oh, man. There's so many.
You can treat it like one that's more synth specific, as in the sound synthesis, and one that's more sample based.
Look, I'd probably just go with Serum. Like Serum, Omnisphere, they're both, awesome. I'd probably navigate to, or I'd probably go to Serum over Omnisphere. Yeah, I think I'd probably go Serum on that one.
Nice. It's a popular choice.
Yeah,
okay.
Good one.
This one I know is going to get a not concise answer, because this one always, it's a contentious one. Most used top 3 effect plugins.
Shit. Okay. Sorry. SSL compressor. Obviously sound toys. I mean, it kind of goes without saying. So it's just
It does.
sound toys. And the black box. Black box is, I love that thing.
The black box. What's that?
It's like, oh man, it's going to change your life. You're going to love it. It's like a saturation kind of distortion plugin. It's beautiful. It's really nice.
I'm just Googling it. Black box analog design HG2. Is that the one?
That's the one. Get some of that in your life, Rich.
Dude.
It's nice.
It looks pretty hot.
I mean, you can pretty much do everything with, Decapitator. I mean, that thing is a beast as well. So you don't really need the black box. I just like the black box.
Yeah.
I use both. Don't get me wrong, especially when I'm doing some like crazy noise music. I'll throw every distortion I've got at that. Like that brief we had with the, where I did like a noise track where there was like was it the Surprise Us brief, I think? Yeah. And I thought Vic was going to just tear me apart and you're going to hate it. And he was like, no, man, this is awesome. I'm like, what? Really? Okay, cool. Yeah. So with distortion stuff, I like to throw, if I'm really getting into distortion, I'll throw every distortion I've got at it. Everything gets in there. Nothing escapes.
Because it completely changes the nature of the sound.
Oh man. Yeah. Just destroys it. Beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Oh, damn it. I had a good question. It's left my mind. Okay. We'll just go to the last quick fire question. No. So I thought it was coming back to me. So what's your number one piece of advice to write better trailer music?
Number one piece of advice to write better trailer music? Mm-hmm. Practice, learn, do the course. No, seriously, definitely do the course, but practice and learn and keep learning and study and listen. Listen to these beast composers out there. There are some amazing composers. Just next level composers. I listen to their stuff and I'm like, oh my God, how's he doing that?
Any particular names spring to mind?
Brent Daniels is like a beast. I love that dude. Everything he does, I'm just like, dude, it's so good. Lex, I love everything Lex does as well.
Lex Sherman.
His music's awesome. I mean, I've always loved his music from the first time I heard it. I got to put you in there, Rich. You got to get in there. Cody's a beast. But can't leave him out. That dude's a beast as well.
It's Cody Still.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know I've forgotten some, but I feel bad. I'll remember later. But they're like my top, where I'm listening to their music and just go, that's amazing.
Yeah. No, the obvious note is all three produce their music so finely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about the other, not me. I'm talking about the other three, like their production skills, and specifically when you listen to Brent's sound design stuff, it's just like what
next level. Next. So good. I could just listen to that all day. I'd just be like, yes, give me more of this. Like it's amazing. Love it.
So the one thing I've remembered the question. It was not really a question. It's more of a pondering. The one thing that people, when I'm talking about trailer music, people still it's just sits with everyone that it's orchestral or that it's hybrid orchestral or it's this just epic music. There's so much about trailer music that is outside of that world. And one of the reasons why the stuff you produce is so exciting is because hip hop sits in trailer music so much more than people think. You think, go watch a ton of trailers. And I'm not talking about like Marvel trailers. Watch a ton of different trailers and I will guarantee you will find some type of hip hop beat in one of them. At least one of them, if not half of them.
Darren, like look at Fast and the Furious and like that what's that boxing one?
Rocky.
Well, yeah, Rocky. But like your one, I forgot what it's called. There's there's tons of hip hop. There's tons of drone music. There's tons of like piano stuff. There's so much of everything. The whole trailer world and advertising music world is massive, and I quickly learned that within the course from doing everything from neoclassical to dramatic piano to hopeful acoustic. Man, there's so many different courses, so many different genres, and I know there's probably so many more as well that we probably didn't even touch on. Yep. Is that true? Or did we just cover like the main ones?
There are so many more we didn't touch on. We had to kind of like pick and choose which courses we did because, I mean, there is a touch. We didn't even touch on Christmas music. I mean, come on.
To be honest, man, I'm relieved because I was actually thinking that the last one was going to be Christmas, and I was like, please don't be Christmas, please don't be Christmas. And then you're like, epic slow burn, and I was like, oh, that sounds really hard. It's going to be hard. And I'm telling you, that track was epic, and it slowly burnt me out. It was brutal. It was. I mean, it's an awesome genre, but it's tough. That one's a tough one. That was good. Good course to end it on too.
Thanks, Sid. You'll have to thank Guy because it was going to be. But you'll like this. It was going to be hip hop Christmas. What?
Really?
Yeah. Really? Yeah, we were like, if we're gonna do Christmas, let's not just keep it broad. Let's go into hip hop Christmas. And then right like 2 weeks before the end, we were like, no, let's swap it out. I haven't given everyone slow burn. I haven't given everyone like huge epic trailer yet. So let's do that.
Yeah. That's one thing that I noticed that we didn't get. And I was wondering if we were gonna get. So if we had have got like hip hop Christmas, I would have been like, cool, okay, I can do this. Like I can smash this. This will be cool. But if we hadn't have got that like that hybrid, like epic slow burn's kind of like hybrid orchestral, right?
Yeah. It's an interesting one because it more refers to the structure. So your instrumentation within epic slow burn can be purely orchestral, or it can be very sound design heavy, but it's more about the structure and the way you develop the sound layers.
Yeah, I think that was definitely amazing choice to end on. Like that just kind of like just smashed it, hit it home. It was awesome.
Awesome. Well, Guy's going to be listening to this going, get in. Well done, me.
No, I did good. Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
so
mate.
Thank you for that. I hope you like the track. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I will be giving feedback later on today, so we will see. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, Sean. I'm sure, every one of your tracks has been immense. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story, and obviously sort of giving the listeners a chance to get an insider scoop on Protegé.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, you're welcome. The thing is, I can talk about it all day, but at the end of the day, it sounds like I'm trying to sell it. No matter what I say.
I'll talk about it all day. It's all good. I mean, yeah, man, like I've said it so many times, it's evolved. Like I've evolved so many ways just from doing this course. So it's definitely changed my life. And I got a placement, which is pretty amazing. So yeah, it's next level amazing course. And I kind of wish it wasn't going to end. Like I'm kind of happy where it's come this far, and like I know I've got a lot more to do for Blue Pearl. There's going to be tons of stuff I'm going to be doing, but kind of going to miss those weekly chats. Seeing you guys, the weekly calls. Like, yeah, it's kind of going to be sad.
I feel exactly the same. Oh, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, Sean. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I will hold you to that drum production course. So Richard continues his learning.
Let's do it. Yeah, man. We'll do it for sure. I'd love to. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. So thank you, sir.
Pleasure, dude. And there you have it. Thank you for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I mean, I certainly enjoyed it. It was really nice to finally get a chance to properly talk to Sean about his experience with Protege. And, you know, the interesting thing is, you know, I could talk about Protege all day, but I sound like a salesman. So it's really nice to hear somebody who's been through the process and experiencing success as a result of the education and the business, the career opportunities we're offering. If you are interested in joining Protege, we are open for new applications for next year's course, which will start up mid-September 2021 this year. You just need to email. Actually, we'll put the contact details in the show notes, just in case I give the wrong contact address, which is perfectly viable. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. You're absolute legends. I hope you enjoyed the interview, and I will speak to you next week.